Hey guys, today I really want to share with you my first real meditation experience and what it took for me to get to that point of actually getting in a state of deep meditation, what it means, and how over time that word kind of ended up losing its real meaning. So, my whole life, yes, I've heard this word thrown around so much that meditation is so important and that it's so good for you. But I never really took it seriously. I always laughed at it. I always used to say, no, I'm not a Zen person. That's not my thing. But the more I read books about this kind of stuff, the more spiritual teachers I listened to, the more research that I looked into, how there's been so many experiments done on brain waves and how many benefits meditation actually has on people. I started taking an interest. And of course, the first few times that I tried doing it was an absolute disaster, right? Because you hear that, okay, sit down, try not to think about anything, breathe, focus on your breath, and then magical things will start to happen. And so you actually try to do that, and it ends up being worse than what it was when you first started. And same thing with me. I remember reading a little bit about it. I sat down, I decided to focus, and I said to myself, okay, don't think about anything and just focus on my breath. Oh, I feel like more thoughts ended up coming in that moment. It was crazy. Like the first night I started thinking about my checklist of what I have to do, a laundry list, and then how I have to go grocery shopping and the meetings that I have tomorrow at work. It ended up being so overwhelming, and I ended up getting just more frustrated with the whole process. It was, yeah, I didn't want to do it again. I lost hope. But one of the best teachers out there that especially is like the expert in meditation is Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's written a lot of books about it. There's many amazing interviews that you can watch on YouTube. And so he has a lot of guided meditations as well. But before I even started with any guided meditations, I wanted to first understand the real concept. Like, why have there been literally texts from thousands of years ago of people talking about it and the importance of it and how it is absolutely essential for every single human being to do. I wanted to first understand the entire concept before I started exploring any other guided meditations. And the information that I actually learned from that was just baffling. It was amazing. There's been tons of miracles that happen just through meditation. I remember I read this one story of a woman who was blind. And so she was practicing and practicing and practicing. And then once she finally got in a very, very, very deep meditative state. And when she opened her eyes after that, she could see for the first time. So there's been numerous stories like that. And that's what really like got to me. I had to try it. But like I said, you have to be consistent. And the most important thing is for your mind to stop wandering, right? We all know that. We have to try to slow down the thoughts that come in. And the easiest way to do that is to focus on one thing that is not that stimulating to our brain. So, of course, if I say, oh, focus on your goals, that's too stimulating. You have too much emotion attached to it because you're going to start analyzing everything. So it has to be something quite boring that you can't really analyze. So for example, if you've got air conditioning in the room, then that sound, that really subtle sound of air conditioning, or a fan, or let's say if you're at the beach, if you're lucky, you could listen to the waves. Or it could be even with your eyes slightly open and watching a flame, for example, if you've got a fireplace. Something that's just not that stimulating. I mean, there's no other word for it. Not something that is going to get you thinking. So I decided to, try with a fan. Didn't work for me that well. I don't think I was consistent enough. I tried with air conditioning. Great, but still thoughts just kept pouring into my mind. And the thing is, my mistake was that I had too many expectations. I was like, oh, I'm imagining this magical moment and I need it to happen now. And the fact that I was waiting for something while I was trying to meditate was actually damaging the entire process. It was hindering it because I was getting impatient, because we're not used to sitting down and doing nothing. Our brains are wired to consistently think about survival, what I have to do. And this is ingrained in us, obviously, from like cavemen days. But even today, we're thinking about the work that we have to do. We're thinking about all of our next steps for tomorrow. We're thinking about what we want and where we're not. We're constantly thinking about things, usually very useless things. So, because that is ingrained in us, when we sit down and try to meditate and not think about anything, our body actually starts getting very frustrated. Our brain starts telling us, what are you doing? You're wasting time. Get up. You have things to do. And so we usually follow our body because that's what it's telling us to do. But really, your soul, what it's actually craving is for you to gain control of your thoughts. Because, like I've mentioned before in my previous videos, your mind is a tool. It's a tool that we're supposed to know how to use, but it's not meant to control us. And what happened with our society, unfortunately, through years and years and years, obviously, is that now our minds control us, and we have lost the capability of choosing what goes into our head. And because of that, we have no more clarity. We have anxiety. We get depressed easily now because we can't control what's coming in. If there's external factors that are frustrating or, sad or, things that we don't have any control over, that affects us immediately. So, this practice of actually forcing your body to sit down and you're telling it, no, 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 you are my tool. So, you're going to do what I tell you to do. And right now, for the next 15 minutes, we're going to just sit here and not worry about what we have to do tomorrow or in a year. We're going to sit here and we're just going to focus on the breath, and that's it. And I promise you, I know it's going to feel very frustrating and annoying in the beginning, just like I went through. I was getting impatient. I didn't want to do this anymore because every single time I was like, it's not working. I'm not cut out for that. I'm going to get up. I want to check my phone. I heard it buzz. There's a notification. Don't. Don't. I promise you, there's just so much momentum in the thoughts that are used to coming in automatically. And what we have to do to break that momentum, to slow it down, is by acknowledging these thoughts that come in automatically and then saying, thank you, but go away for now. You're my tool. Brain, you are my tool. And we're going to sit down and keep doing this. So, the more consistent you are and the more you acknowledge the thoughts that come in automatically, the more you weaken them. And that momentum slows down, slows down, slows down. No, it's not going to happen in one session, but the more you do it every single day, you will be slowing down that momentum. So, what I did, I kept going. I just kept doing it and it wasn't successful. It wasn't successful, but I just kept saying to myself, I'm just going to give it a try. In 15 minutes, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'll go on. But I remember it happened when I was actually least expecting it. So I was actually in a car with my mom and we were going somewhere early in the morning. I was so tired. It was like 7 a.m. and it was raining that day. And so she was driving. We didn't even have the music on because we were both very sleepy. And I was just sitting, like just crouched like this in the front seat. And I just remember kind of watching the droplets hit the window. And I just thought to myself, well, I'm bored right now, anyways, so I might as well just try to focus on my breath again. But I had I didn't expect anything. I didn't have a specific goal in mind. I was like, I'm bored, and why not? So I was just laying there, and I'm thinking, okay, breath going in. Okay, 2, breath going out. 3, breath going in. 4, breath going out. 5. You see how boring this is? I literally just was counting the breaths that were coming in and coming out. If I lost track of the count, I would just go back to 0 again. Okay, I forgot what number I'm on. 0. 1, breath going in, breath going out. Just kept doing it. And because I didn't expect anything, because I just was so tired and wasn't really thinking about anything else, I think that's what did it for me. Because I noticed that with every breath that I took, each one, the best way I could describe it is each one felt more and more delicious. Like it was like, oh my God, like this breath really feels good. Okay. And then it was like more and more just joyful energy was starting to like fill my body. And I kept going and going. And then I would say about 3 minutes later, it was very sudden. It was just like, whoop, and all of a sudden, it's like I was underwater. You know, when you're underwater and you can't hear anything else, it's like you're in a different dimension. All of a sudden, like you're above the water and you hear the pool and people and screaming, and then you go underwater and it's quiet and peaceful and just amazing. And you could feel the energy, or I guess the texture of the water just against your skin. I think that's like honestly the best way that I can describe it. So I was breathing, 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 and then poof, and all of a sudden, it's like it was a tunnel. Like I didn't really hear anything else. It was like I'm with myself. I could only hear my inner voice that was like very quiet. And it wasn't like my mind thinking, it was like myself communicating. I know it sounds weird and I sound crazy, but it was like myself quietly communicating with myself. Like, you're finally here. You got it. This is exactly what I've been waiting for. You're here. Yes, you're whole. You're one. And I just kept hearing myself repeating that I'm one. I'm one. I'm connected. It's like I was in this bubble. It's like a very, very pleasant bubble. And I just felt warmth just surrounding my body. And it's like this bubble just kind of put everything together. So I finally understood that, wow, my mind oftentimes is like really far away from my actual body. Like it's here, or it's there, or it's in the past, it's in the future, it's like somewhere on the side, but it's never with me. And like, yeah, I mean, that's the best way I can describe it, that my mind finally connected with the rest of me, and it felt amazing. I swear, I probably feels like a drug. I think when people do drugs, like that's probably what they feel when they get this like euphoria. And that's exactly what I felt. It was euphoria, like this overwhelming feeling of love and joy and clarity. Like everything in that moment just made sense to me. All the problems in the world, I just looked at everything in from a completely, completely different perspective. Like, we've got it wrong. We're doing it wrong. We're all feeling this way in this world because we're so disconnected. If we all just learn to connect with ourselves, to control the thoughts, when we gain that clarity and everything is in that one level, it is euphoria. It's like I started hearing answers to things that I've have been seeking my whole life. Like this little voice inside of me, it was like, finally, there are no distractions. I can guide you on the things that you've been wondering about. Okay, let's start with your career. And it's like I started hearing what I truly needed, like the steps that I need to take, the hard decisions that I couldn't decide on. It was like all of a sudden the decisions were very clear to me. Certain things that I had feared over, it was like a very joyful part of me that was laughing at it and saying like, why did you waste your time fearing these things? It's not a big deal. You're ready. Take the step. And you have no idea. It felt incredible. And I would say it lasted about 2 minutes. It was very, very brief. And then my mom, obviously, she was driving next to me. She didn't know that this was happening to me as I was sitting next to her. So she spoke. And as soon as she spoke, like I came out of that state. But my body continued buzzing, I would say, for like the next 2 hours. Because when I was in that state, my entire body just felt tingly and almost numb, but not numb in a way where it's like, oh, your hand fell asleep. No, it was more like I was floating. Like you're in water and you're kind of like floating with no effort. That's what it felt like. Just like this bubble of just like amazing energy. So I was kind of hesitant to make this video because I know it could make me sound crazy or whatever. But honestly, I couldn't help it. I think that everybody should know that, you might see so much information out there online, like, oh, do breath work, oh, meditation, you have to sit on a rock and crisscross your legs, and it looks so, unappealing and uncomfortable. But just, I promise you, there's a reason why it's been around for thousands of years. There's a reason why there's so many miracles that happen from this. And it is because when you connect with your own soul and your own energy, it starts flowing into all of your cells immediately, because that's what it's craving to do. It's something that we're just constantly blocking. So when we get in a meditative state, all the energy flows into various parts of your bodies, including your brain, and it just opens you up into this entire world that we just didn't even know existed. Honestly, like it opened me up, and then all of this knowledge and information and just this good feeling took over me, because that's what we're meant to experience in this life, and we forgot how to do it. So, my advice, I will paste some links in some of the resources that really taught me to do it well. Maybe I'll do some videos in the future just talking about some of the techniques that really work for me, because obviously this was 3 years ago when I had that first experience. So I could say now confidently that I've gotten better at meditation. I learned how to do it with my eyes open. I learned how to do it while walking as well. So there's different techniques. Don't think that you have to just follow one specific way and that's it, because there's different ways and it works differently for various people, obviously. So I will share some videos in the future. Underneath, I will paste some books and videos that I think could be helpful for you. But the whole point of this video right now is just for you to get excited over this idea of meditation. I want you to know that it's powerful. It is energy. It's something that everybody should do. You don't have to be Zen or anything. No, no, no. Every single person should be taking at least 15 minutes a day for themselves to just sit down and tell the body to comply and do what it needs to do. And that it's going to be very frustrating in the beginning and you will lose patience, but trust yourself, trust me, trust all the amazing spiritual teachers out there that it's supposed to feel like that in the beginning, but the more you do it, you will get better, and then you will achieve that same state that I was in, and you will be commenting me and thanking me for that in the future. So I really cannot wait to hear about your experience. If you have questions, please write them in the comments, and watch out for more videos.